Seth Trimble, have yourself a night. Free ice cream for everybody. Okay, not free ice cream for everybody, but it was still awesome.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Monday, February 23rd, 2026. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day, all part of the Locked On Network, now the #1 sports podcast network out there. Thank you so much for making us your first listener watch on this Monday evening. Special shout out to all the everydayers, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and our insiders as well. This episode is brought to you by Mazda, who puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, but putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Woo! Massive victory over Louisville inside the Smith Center on Monday night, 77-74. So close. My score prediction for this game was 78-75. Each team just needed to make one more free throw, and they both could have done so. Good grief. Speaking of that, this game did not have to be so stressful. Why y'all doing? I'm an old man. My ticker can't handle such things as this, but now it's over and my heart can breathe happy again. But a win all the same for the Tar Heels. Definitely a few things to work on. The Heels run their record to 22-6 overall, 10-5 in ACC play. They stay undefeated at home, 16-0. Importantly now, Carolina holds the tiebreaker not only over Virginia, not only over Duke, although they got to play them again, but also now over Louisville, who is right in the same spot in the standings as the Tar Heels. That could become critically important. Unfortunately, on the flip side of that, as you well know, Carolina doesn't hold the tiebreaker against NC State or Miami. That's important because right now, the Tar Heels are tied for 5th with Clemson, who, by the way, Carolina plays at home next Tuesday night. Another really, really big, important one. Now a game ahead of Louisville and a half game back of both Miami and NC State for 3rd and 4th place in the ACC. And that's why these games that the Heels shouldn't have lost are so frustrating, because you'd be in that double bye position already had you not done so. But you did, fine, whatever. Interestingly, Carolina stays in the exact same spot at Ken Palm, 30th, 31st in offensive efficiency, 38th in defensive efficiency. This is officially a party show. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I don't care how stressful. I don't care how frustrating. That, yes, there are some therapy pieces mixed into this show, undoubtedly. But all in all, this is a party. By the way, this is not the only live show I'll be part of tonight. Later on, midnight Eastern, 11 Central, 9 Pacific time, we're going to have a live CBB college Locked On College Basketball squad show, unpacking the night, unpacking the new top 25, the top 16, all of that. Come join us. That'll be on the Locked On College Basketball channel. Larry Brown was in the building Monday night. Great to see him in there. All right, here's where we head if you're brand new with us on these live postcasts. We will look big picture at the game. We'll look at some nitty gritty of it. We'll look at what it means going forward, all that, so much more. We'll take a couple breaks. We'll look at your comments over there. So if you got questions or thoughts, drop them in over there and I'll go grab them later on. Carolina wins this game. Let's look big picture at it. I had said on today's show, the Tar Heels have a 3-game homestand before they go to Duke next Saturday night, March 7th. This game tonight, home against Louisville. Home on Saturday, Virginia Tech, late, 8:30 Eastern. And next Tuesday, as I just said, against Clemson. My thing that I had said is Carolina, to just feel good and feel like they've got the foundation they need to win 2 out of 3 of those games. And you know what's great about what they did? They just won, at least on paper, what is the hardest, most difficult of those 3 games. Now, you could certainly go mess it up by losing to Virginia Tech and or Clemson, sure. But you've taken care of business tonight. Again, more difficultly than you had to, but you got it done, and that's what matters. But now you got to continue to follow it up and continue to build on that success. Another reason I thought it was critical to get this win tonight is because this is now the 4th game without Caleb Wilson. In the previous 3, Carolina has beaten the teams that they were supposed to clobber, and they got basically clobbered by the team that was good in NC State. Pitt, not great. Syracuse, not great. Carolina beat them, that's great. But what you needed to prove to the committee is that, hey, look, we are a legit club even without Caleb Wilson. And that's not to denigrate Caleb Wilson. That's to lift up the rest of the roster. And that is why tonight is so important, to say, hey, you see our biggest cheerleader over there on the sideline? Even though he's our best player, our guy Trimble's out here dropping 30 tonight. And that proves to the committee that, hey, yes, we were already planning to take Caleb Wilson's injury into account. But now that Carolina has this great quad one victory at home over Louisville, even without him, that to me cements Carolina into that kind of 5-7 range, assuming they don't drop the ball. Like, there's nothing, again, at Duke. You could lose that game and it's not going to ding you that much because you're expected to lose that game, right? The probability is that Carolina will lose that game. So honestly, the two games that matter most right now are Saturday, Virginia Tech, and Clemson next Tuesday. Got to win those games. Do not mess around. Don't get high and mighty off of this. You shouldn't get high and mighty off of this because there was enough that you left on the board, on the floor, that you need to go take care of business. And what was also really interesting was, remember, let's think early in this game, and we'll talk about how that came to be, but the Tar Heels were down 10, 23-13. They go on I think it was 30-6 run from there. And then they were back in the game and they just methodically worked their way to get this big lead. And man, that was so critically important. But I was curious to see, all right, the Tar Heels have this 1-point halftime lead. They've proven to themselves that they can compete with one of the top teams in the nation, even without Caleb. Can they now do it for 20 more minutes? And at least out of the gate, absolutely they could. And then they just held on for dear life while missing a bunch of free throws. But they did it. And what I love, I just alluded to it, but once again, Caleb Wilson, not moping, not like, all right, fine, good job, fellas. Dude, Caleb Wilson on that sideline, cheering like crazy, urging on his team, demanding excellence. When the rest of the roster is sitting down, he is up. It is incredible. All right, we got to get to Seth Trimble. How have we not talked about it? Career high 30 points. This, how many times have we all talked about Memphis Seth Trimble? Man, this was Memphis Seth Trimble tonight, you guys. Previous career high, 27 points last year against Dayton out in the Maui Invitational. This was his fourth career 20-point game. His second highest career game ever was 22 points earlier this year out at SMU, and just blew past that. What I love, Seth was in attack mode all night. Like Louisville has great guards, and they had nothing to stop. He got where he wanted at will in this basketball game. And man, I was so pleased for Seth and for what he did. And I tell you what, Carolina needed every single one of those points and could have used a couple of the free throws he missed too. And I know Seth's going to be really upset with himself about that. Seth was also Carolina's, interestingly enough, leading turnover person in this game, but fine, whatever. As I said, you got it done, and that's what matters. 30. Seth Trimble just scored 30 points. Incredible stuff. It's interesting because in this season, Seth Trimble has had his most incredible singular moment as a Tar Heel. Obviously, we all know what that is. I'll just say the three, and you know what I'm talking about, which oddly enough, Seth hit his first three tonight that he had hit since said three. But that was his best moment as a Tar Heel. This was his best game. Because, sure, as I just said, he was Carolina's leader in turnovers. And he was 7-11 at the free throw line. He's going to be upset about that. And he had the 30 points on a very efficient 11 of 16 from the field. But maybe the thing that's most important that Seth Trimble did in this game was what he did defensively. We'll talk more about it on the other side of the break. But, man, there have been a couple times this season when Carolina, think about it, has been blitzed by opposing guards. And tonight, Seth Trimble was not going to allow that to happen, and he demanded the same out of his teammates. That senior leadership is what Carolina needs from him, and he's been given it. It's just there have been a couple times when neither he nor the rest of the backcourt could slow down great guards. But tonight, let's not miss the job they did. And you might say, yeah, but they had a bunch of points. I'll tell you why I'm not all that impressed by that. Coming up with a few other things we need to talk about here in just a second. Right after I tell you about Indeed, workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inboxes overflowing, and the one position you still need to fill is sitting wide open and you don't have the time to get it filled. Well, when the pressure's on and you need the right hire, that's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs, who helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location, so that you're not just hoping the right candidate is going to stumble across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies just like yours have made 27 hires with Indeed, according to their worldwide data. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos and the noise, that's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of Locked On Tar Heels are going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Again, go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying Locked On Tar Heels sent you there. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? That's a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. All right, getting right back into it. For those of you watching in real time, we've got the box score pulled up for this game. If you're listening back later, we're so glad that you're here. Welcome in. Way to go. Way to find us later on. And you can find the box score elsewhere. We talked about how Carolina did enough what they needed to do in the first half, down the stretch anyway. We'll talk about the first half of the first half in a minute, but down the stretch of the first half, Carolina fought their way back into this game on the defensive end of the floor, took a 1-point halftime lead, and it's like, okay, that's nervous moments. Can they hold on to it? Hold on to it, they did, and expand it, they did. Carolina starts the second half on a 17-2 run to build a 16-point lead. And boy, did they need it, because from that point, they got a little bit sloppy. And they allowed Louisville to find their way back in. How? Well, there was a couple moments of being sloppy with the basketball. One of those was with just over 4 minutes to go. Derek Dixon allowed Ryan Conwell to pick his pocket and then made the cardinal sin of fouling him on a breakaway layup. You've either got to foul him hard, and which he scored, by the way. It was an and one, made the bucket. And that made me very fearful of how the final 4 minutes would go. Turned out that was for good reason, but thankfully Carolina holds on. But if you're Dixon in that moment, you have to shield the ball and you can't let Conwell swipe you from behind. But if that happens on the other end, you have got to commit a hard enough foul where he can't sneak that ball in or just let it go, right? Like, don't compound it by committing a foul and letting him score that bucket. You've either got to stop the basket with a hard enough foul or just like, hey, we can get 2 points back. But a foul and a third point, no, that's not good enough. So Carolina started getting careless with the ball. They had a couple poor shot selection. I thought one of the things that, in addition to Carolina's defense, they had made some really good decisions offensively, getting good shots within the rhythm of the offense, whether that was Seth attacking, whether that was Luka attacking, finding wide open threes off of double teams, whatever it was. But Derek Dixon, who had a couple threes, was really, really good to see that, man. He needed it so much. You know, we've talked about how the guards have been struggling on the road, at least, man, much better, obviously from Seth, but yes, from Derek Dixon too. But there was this one, took an ill-advised early shot clock, deep three with a big lead. What does that allow Louisville to do? Just they are praising you for taking that shot. They want you to take that shot every time down the floor. That's a freshman mistake. He'll learn, he'll get better. And thankfully Carolina still won the game. Another thing is where one of the two big therapy moments from this game was Carolina's defensive rebounding struggled. There was a lot of moments where Carolina was not able to corral the defensive rebound. And sometimes even when they did, Louisville was able to poke it away off of Carolina or things of that nature. Carolina just couldn't simply hold on to it. Consequently, again, this is one of our two big therapy things. The teams were directly tied in defensive rebounds, 25 each. But Louisville had 16 offensive rebounds to Carolina's 7. Thankfully, and somehow, the second chance points were tied at 13. But Carolina had so many opportunities to end Louisville threats by just simply boxing out strong enough and getting the defensive rebound. And they were not committed to that endeavor, and it allowed Louisville to hang around in moments where they otherwise didn't need to. On the other hand, one of the things that Carolina did really well, and this is something I've talked about a lot this season, more on the Locked On College Basketball show, is, man, Louisville's guards are insane. But I'm less worried about their front court. And between Carolina's front court and between like Seth Trimble attacking all night, points in the paint was where this game was won in a big way. Carolina leads that demographic 40-24. Incredible stuff from the Tar Heels. That's what you need if you're North Carolina. So it was those things. It was a little carelessness with the ball, shot selection, lack of defensive rebounding that allowed Louisville to work their way back into it. Here's another thing that I thought Carolina did really well in this game is, yes, Seth had 30 points, but even still, the Tar Heels had really nice offensive balance and efficiency. And I'll say something about inefficiency here on the other side of the ledger in a moment. But for North Carolina, every player that took a shot, except for Zayden High and Jaden Young, were 50% or better from the field. And with Zayden High, it was very close. He was 2 of 5. And with Young, he just took one shot and missed it. Everybody else that took a shot was 50% or better. Derek Dixon, 2 of 4. Seth, 11 of 16. Henri Veesaar, 6 of 12. Jaren Stevenson, 3 of 6. Luka, 5 of 10. Kyan Evans, 1 of 2. So honestly, other than Seth and those guys that didn't get to 50%, literally everyone was at 50%. Really, really good stuff from the Tar Heels. They finished 30 of 56 from the field. That's 53.6%. And that means they were 22 of 34. Holy smokes. Yeah, 22 of 34 from 2. And 22 divided by 34. That's 64.7% from 2. That'll win you a lot of basketball games right there. And how many times have I said it? I want to see Carolina just get above 35% from 3. Not by much, but they were 36.4%, 8 of 22. That's good enough, especially when you're shooting that well from 2. Really, really good job there by the Tar Heels. So yeah, Seth's 30 points was incredible, but really nice, balanced, efficient approach from the rest of the team as well. Again, that's going to win you a lot of basketball games. And you had some other things to go along with that. I thought Jaren Stevenson had some really critical offensive. I mean, yes, he battled and did a lot of things well, including leading Carolina in rebounding. Jaren Stevenson, right? Like, we've been talking about it. We love to see this aggressive version of him. We've talked so much about what Zayden High has been doing, filling in for Caleb and Henry while they've been out. And I'll say more about him right after Jaren here. But I don't think we've maybe said enough about Jaren and his aggressiveness, his willingness to take shots, the fact that he's knocking them down more now. And again, leading Carolina in rebounding tonight, 7 rebounds. But he hit 2 critical threes. And both of them, I mean, just no hesitation, looked really good. That's what I want to see out of him, and why I begged earlier in the year, even when he wasn't hitting, keep shooting those threes, Jaren Stevenson. But highlight of the night for Jaren Stevenson, that block that dude had, unbelievable. Great verticality, just return to the shot. Great stuff from Jaren Stevenson. Really, really nice game from Jaren. And Zayden High didn't live up to, like, from a number standpoint, the 12 and 9 that he had been averaging since Caleb had been out. Just had 4 points in this game, which is still well above his career average. Had 6 rebounds, second leading rebounder on the team. Had 3 assists, 2 turnovers, a block, and a steal. Like, that level of energy and activity, man, Zayden, yes, more of that. Because it's not just about the scoring. Although I loved that when he had that open lane to the rim, didn't settle for a three, took a couple other good rhythm threes, missed them both. But he had another one where he had a wide open lane to the rim from the right wing, took it, scored, got fouled, missed the free throw. Okay, fine. But it's not just that. It is had a nice come from behind block, had a rebound on the next possession. He had steal when he was on guarding in the post, and then jumped on the ball, dove on it, and got a timeout in the first half. It's those like, yes, Seth's run out dunk, like basically his pick six dunk, unreal. That ignites a crowd. But each of the last two games, Zayden High has gotten a steal, wound up on the floor, and the crowd is going wild. Obviously, they weren't in the game at Syracuse because that was a non-Carolina crowd, but the Carolina folks were going crazy, and as was the bench. The energy Zayden is infusing into this team while being more under control than we've seen him a lot in his career has been really, really good for the Tar Heels. All right, let's now talk about the defense. The way this game started confirmed all of my fears about how this game was going to go. Because how often this season have we seen Carolina allow opposing guards to go off and opposing teams to just go wild from three? Louisville knocked down 5 of their first 9 threes. Carolina was going under screens, allowing Louisville to shoot it well. You can't do that. You've got to get over those screens. The bigs were too much drop coverage, not staying connected enough. That was allowing threes to get off. They were not picking up in transition. Nobody was identifying and getting out on shooters. And so Louisville had a couple transition threes, a wide open that my mother could have stepped into. I love you, Mom. You're the best. But there came a moment midway through the first half, and then it continued for the rest of the game, where aside from a few hiccups here and there, Carolina suddenly, it was like they knew the scouting report and the reality of it at the beginning of the game. They weren't able to lock in on it, but it was like something snapped or clicked, and suddenly they realized the urgency with which they needed to guard and stay connected to their men. And at that point, Louisville looked wildly inept and incapable, and the numbers were so efficient, you guys. So yes, when you just look at the score, the points that Michael Brown scored and Ryan Conwell scored, you're like, oh man, Carolina gave up a combined 47 points to those dudes, 24 to Michael Brown, 23 to Ryan Conwell. Okay, fine. But you know what? Michael Brown, to get his 24 shot points, needed 25 shots to get there and made 9 of them, and was 6 of 14 from 3. That's really good. Like, okay. But 9 of 25, man, I can live with that every day of the week. As for Ryan Conwell, 23 points, but he needed 19 shots to get there. Yes, they both hit a couple late in the game as they were making a little bit of that furious comeback. And so that made it look a little more respectable, but I mean, good night. I can live with them scoring all those points at an inefficient level. Javon Hadley, yes, 14 points on 6 of 8. But you look at Isaac McNeely, the Virginia transfer who scares me to death from 3, 0 of 5 in this game. All of them threes, 0 points. Did not much of anything. And beyond those 3 guys that scored in double figures, the next best scoring Louisville Cardinal had 4 points. And so all in all, once Carolina got locked in, I was so proud of the defensive effort, especially when you think back to early January and some of those performances against SMU and Wake and and Boopy Miller, like I already said, SMU, Boopy Miller, Abuka Okore at Stanford, like not tonight. And I was so encouraged with it for the Tar Heels. Okay. Last thing I got to say, then it's a therapy thing, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll get to your comments. The North Carolina Tar Heels in this basketball game, I laugh because it's so absurd. Shot 9 of 19 from the free throw line. That, you guys, is 47.4%. For the game from the field, Carolina was 53.6%. So hear me when I say that the North Carolina Tar Heels for the game shot better from the field than they did from the free throw line, 53.6% to 47.4%. this game did not have to be this stressful. Like, there was no reason, absolutely no reason. And so I'll go back to the streaks. Carolina had 13 games in a row where they were at 70% or under. Then they went 6 games over that. And now it's 2 straight that have been real bad. The Syracuse game and then this one. Again, thankfully, similar to the rebounding issues, they're able to get past it. And that didn't stop them from getting the win. But oh boy, was it a closer margin than it should have been. Hey, a victory though, massive victory over Louisville. When the ACC schedule first came out, I looked ahead and circled this game and was like, that game is massive. Louisville was my preseason pick to win the ACC. And now, wow, I just thought about this. Yes, Carolina has lost some games they probably shouldn't have, but you know what they have done? They've knocked off the team. They're 2-0 against the teams that were picked first and second in the ACC this season. That's something. Again, that makes it all the more frustrating, the games that they've lost. But hey, it shows the committee that you can win the biggest games against the best competition. Now you just got to keep it up against Virginia Tech Saturday and against Clemson. Get those wins, and then you're just playing with house money when you go to Durham, North Carolina, to Cameron Indoor Stadium to end the regular season. Great stuff. All right, I want to get to your comments, questions. We'll see what you have to add to the discussion tonight. We'll do all that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Mazda. This is Mazda's moving the game forward moment for those who show there's more to the score than what's on screen. It's got to be Seth Trimble. All due respect to everyone else and everything they did. Seth Trimble, this dude who keeps coming back to North Carolina, who was like, this is my home. I'm a Tar Heel man. Had he not come back when he was in the transfer portal, had he not come back for his senior year, he would have not had that moment against Duke, and he would have not had a game like this. How many people in their Carolina career can say, I, fill in the blank, scored 30 points for the historic University of North Carolina? I don't know the number off the top of my head. I'll go look it up, but Seth Trimble is among them, and that's incredible. My man, congratulations. That's how you move the game forward. It's moments like that that remind us what it really takes to raise the bar. It's that extra work off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and that I never quit mentality. Mazda puts that same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel, but what it took to get there is what makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. This episode's also brought to you by FanDuel. Oh, FanDuel, you got this one wrong. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? They're now giving you your chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. You use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, who can make it to the NBA Conference Championships, man, that's the perfect time to lock it in. Why? Because that's going to make every game all that more exciting down the stretch of the regular season. Plus, your picks could cash. Plus, you could win a trip to the NBA Finals. Incredible stuff. Louisville was 3.5-point favorites in this game. Not only did Carolina cover, they won outright. FanDuel, how'd you miss this? The Tar Heels are undefeated at home. That's on you guys. Hey, congrats to all of those of you who got it right, and nuts to all of you who went against the Tar Heels. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, here we go. We're going to get into your comments. Derek Tyson said exactly what I said to start this thing. Huge win, but it didn't have to be that stressful. Man, Derek also says, hey, free throws aside, toward the end of the game, I thought the offensive execution was poor. Too many rush shots and settles from deep. Very happy we won, though. Yes, and Carolina did that thing they often do, and I get it because Louisville likes to play up tempo, where Carolina started throttling down sooner than I would have felt comfortable with. Now, I'm not the head coach. Hubert Davis is, and he gets paid to stand over there and make those decisions. I don't. But my job is to second guess him, and that is an area in which I am. There were a couple of those where Caleb sitting on the bench, where Henri and Seth had a nice 2-man game. Seth had that look over the top. But yes, too many settles, maybe waiting a little bit too long in the shot clock. Although if you're going to wait, you might as well wait. And that's what Carolina did. And thankfully, the clock ran out before Louisville was able to get back on top of it. And so there you go. Melinda Dolphin, our friend, she says, what did they do differently that made the defense so much more effective? I'll say a couple things. This is a great question, Melinda. Number one, you notice they started talking more and more effectively, calling it out, recognizing things early. I said a little bit ago, but it was almost like they realized like, oh, this is what we're supposed to be doing. Let's go now start to do that. And they did. But some of it was just executing, fighting through, like not allowing yourself to have to go under a screen, like fighting over the top of it and forcing Louisville to make some adjustments that I don't think Louisville ever really made to realize, okay, if the Tar Heels are going to fight over the top of this and take away these threes or switch quickly, as they did a couple times, then there's some ways we can back cut it or quick roll off a fake screen, right? Like just do some of that. They never utilized it, and we were the beneficiaries of it. And so, and then I think too, there was just a lot of want to it, where it was almost like when the switch flipped, it was like Carolina realized the level of effort necessary to enact what was going to have to happen. And again, so much of it was, I know I said this is the Seth game, and it's not just for the 30 points. It's because Seth Trimble took it personally to shut down Michael Brown Jr. And again, as we said, 24 points. Yeah, but he needed 25 shots to get there. And you can absolutely live with every bit of that. And it was nice because the refs were kind of letting them play a little bit, right? There was on that last Louisville drive, Carolina, after missing more free throws, was up 3. I think that was when Jaren missed those back-to-back maybe. And took a bump from, I think it was Henri. And then I believe it was Sananda Frew had a potential tip back dunk, missed that. Henri gets the rebound, and that was it. Seth hit the free throws on the other end, something of that nature. But it's like, hey, if you're going to let them play, make them call it. And a lot of times refs swallow their whistle in that moment at the end of the game. And especially at home, Carolina was able to get that call, and we can live with that. A couple people asking, I'm noticing it first here from Derek Tyson, says, anyone else think Henri was limping at times? How much did he play? 30 minutes. So that was 4 more than he played on Saturday. How about this? I'm also noticing as I'm looking at it, Henri Veesaar led the team in plus minus, plus 16. The next best was plus 10. That was both Luka and Kaina. By the way, Luka Bogovac had some tough drives in this game. He just continues to make a lot of good decisions. No turnovers, 3 boards, 1 assist. Man, Luka, keeping it going. I love that. And so we're going to have to keep our eyes on that, thankfully, because, and part of it is, we were wondering, how is Henri going to respond to turning around and playing a little, like basically 50 hours later? So I'm not shocked that he was a little wibbly wobbly. But now, because you played on Monday, you got till Saturday before he has to be ready to go again. And going to need him because Virginia Tech has some nice stuff in the front court, some agility that Zayden, those guys are going to have to be ready to go. Really important there. W. Baxter White says, also, Caleb wants to come back at Duke. Maybe they were just speculating on the broadcast, like Jay Williams, those guys. There's supposed to be more imaging done this week. Forget what day specifically, but it's sometime this week. Then we'll get probably another report based off of that. I'm imagining Coach Davis will be asked about it in his pre-Virginia Tech availability on Friday. And I'm guessing that's when the update will come, is on Friday from Coach Davis. So hopefully it's in a good spot. The nice thing is, again, that's one of the great things about this win is you bought yourself some more buffer time where you don't have to rush Caleb back. You need him. Hear me say you need Caleb Wilson in your lineup. But beating Louisville buys you more time where you don't have to insert him. But everyone else has to continue to bring it. Nobody can throttle down. Nobody can whatever. But hear me say, as soon as he's cleared and ready to go, he will be in that. There's not going to be this thing where it's like, Caleb's cleared, but we're going to hold him out until Duke. No, if he's ready to go for Virginia Tech somehow, they'll play him. If he's ready to go for Clemson, they'll play him as soon as he's available, because you want as many tune-up games before the postseason and before the game at Duke as possible. And so that's where I would be on things with Caleb. Okay, you guys, there's a lot more to get to. And yeah, C Hoop 2 asks, did Ken Palm update? It's kind of weird. It felt like it because the record's updated where Carolina is still, it shows the win against Louisville, but the numbers are exactly the same in terms of still 30th, 31st in offensive efficiency, 38th in defensive efficiency. So that's kind of odd, but hey, it is what it is there. And so, hey, one of the good things is this is, if I'm not mistaken, a quad one, because Louisville was like 15th in the net or something of that nature. I can tell you. Carolina started the day 27th in the net. Yeah, Louisville came into this game 13th in the net. So this game is quad one. This is going to even out Carolina's quad one record at 6-6, with the wins now being Kansas, at Kentucky, Ohio State in the CBS Sports Classic, at Virginia versus Duke, and now this game, with the 6 losses being Michigan State, at SMU, at Stanford, at Cal, at Miami, at NC State. So all 5 of those ACC road losses plus the neutral site loss to Michigan State down in Fort Myers. So that's where things stand there. So yeah, Gen Pom is updated, but it's weird it hadn't given much there. All right, you guys. What a performance from Seth Trimble. I am just blown away. Everybody go buy some Ben & Jerry's. Drive to your local Walmart, get you a pint of Ben & Jerry's and say, this one is from my man, Seth Trimble. That's great stuff. Okay, we will be back tomorrow. We will have more to wrap up from this game. Then on Wednesday's show, Coach Rob will be with me. On Thursday's show, Andy Bagwell will be with me, the author of Duke Sucks, and the follow-up, Duke Still Sucks. And then Friday, we will get ready for the Virginia Tech game in our weekend whip round. So a lot of fun this week. Can't wait to chat with those two guys and see where things are at as far as they can tell. So for now, though, if you haven't subscribed to Locked On Tar Heels on YouTube and your favorite audio podcast platform, do that now so you don't miss a second. If you haven't subscribed to our Locked On Tar Heels Discord, do that. If you haven't joined the Everydayers Club, both of those links are in the show notes as well. You guys, it is always a great day to be a Tar Heel. I cannot wait to talk to you again tomorrow. But until then, peace.